1 in 500,000 babies is born with a skin condition that is almost always fatal. But some kids never give up the fight for life.
I think if there was a definition of the word miracle, it would have to have Ryan in it.
He was born with deep fissures, deep cracks in his skin.
Everybody is thinking, this is hopeless, this baby is not going to make it.
His eyes were turned inside out, his ears were plastered against his head.
He was not expected to live even the day that he was born, or maybe even beyond a week.
The chances of survival are probably 0.
I said, do whatever you can. Don't just let him die. Do whatever you can.
Ryan Gonzalez is 19 years old. That in itself makes him incredible.
Ryan is absolutely a medical marvel. There's no other description I could say. He survived a very, very torturous condition, and he's grown up to be a wonderful, as I said, an inspirational human being.
Ryan has harlequin ichthyosis, a genetic condition with no cure.
Ichthyosis is a skin disorder where the body produces too many skin cells and the skin doesn't shed properly. In the case of harlequin fetus, the skin is very, very thick and there are deep cracks in the body.
If you think about a nice brick wall that's very solid, it's a good barrier against the outside. But his brick wall is so crumbled and disorganized that all the bad things, like infections and cold, can get through and disrupt his skin.
In 20 years of pediatrics, Dr. Boyko had never seen a case like Ryan's.
It's so severe that the skin is often cracked down to the meat, down to your connective tissues and through to the fat of the skin. And the cracks are very wide.
Most harlequin fetus babies dehydrate within hours of birth. Those who survive longer usually succumb to infection.
Initially, there was no hope for Ryan's survival. He would have died of dehydration because his skin wasn't able to hold on to water properly.
His mother, Anna Marie, was presented with a hopeless situation.
When Ryan was first born and he looked so bad, I mean, he looked so bad, and I knew, you know, when they first saw him, they didn't expect him to live, because I was told, you know, go ahead, you can touch him, and they took a Polaroid picture of him, you know, like, here's a picture of your baby before he dies.
The immediate challenge was to keep Ryan's skin moist.
Anna Marie, his mother, had to constantly moisturize the skin with different types of medication, with something like Vaseline or Aquaphor ointment. That sometimes was the cause of infections that Ryan got.
I said, do whatever you can. Don't just let him die.
The mortality rate is almost 100%. The condition is so rare that Ryan's doctors were at a loss as to how to save him. Then, Ryan was lucky enough to find the right doctor at the right time.
You ready?
Dr. Charles Friedman was his 1,000,000-to-1 shot.
Ryan, how are you, buddy? Hi, Anna Marie. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Ginny. That's all I need. Ryan was a pretty tough cookie. Yeah, he was definitely a fighter. Open real wide. Very good. Excellent.
With every medication available to them, incredibly, Dr. Friedman's treatment was a prescription acne cream.
When I first suggested using Accutane, an acne medicine in Ryan's case, the neonatologists were a bit taken aback.
Accutane is like a heavy-duty dose of vitamin A. It makes the skin more flexible, allowing it to shed. After 5 days, Ryan came off the ventilator, but there were other problems triggered by his condition. His skin was so tight, his eyelids turned inside out. Plastic surgery helped, but it often happened again when he cried. For 4 months, it was touch and go.
I think the major problem that Ryan had was that he didn't grow properly, and we really didn't understand why he didn't grow.
With a normal food intake, Ryan was still starving to death. At 9 months, he was sent to the university hospital to find out how many calories he needed to grow. The university made a stunning finding. Ryan was growing skin cells at a superhuman rate to replenish the layers he shed daily because of the acne medication. A high-calorie, high-protein condensed formula was fed through a tube into his stomach. It worked. Ryan started to grow. But for Anna Marie, every baby step was painful.
It was so hard to go to these doctor's appointments because people always look to see your baby, and whenever they would look at my baby, they would always nudge, make sure the person next to him saw that baby, and that was really hurtful for me, to see all these people staring at my baby and not staring like, oh, how cute, look, but, horrified. It was just so hard. It was just, I felt really alone. I felt really alone.
19 years later, Ryan still cannot eat enough to fuel his superhuman skin. He takes food supplements while he sleeps. The Spider-Man mask is to keep the feeding tube in place.
For the first few years of his life, I guess I really didn't know how long Ryan was going to live, because I know that every single birthday up until when he was 5 years old, and when I would have a little birthday cake and be doing a little birthday celebration for Ryan, when I would be singing happy birthday to Ryan, I would be choking up and sobbing, because it would hit me that he made another year.
Life for Ryan Gonzalez is like an endurance race. He's been hospitalized close to 100 times. His treatment is trial and error, because no one expected him to live this long.
Ryan Gonzalez is certainly, to me, one of the most inspirational people that I've ever known in my life. He has overcome odds of probably 1,000,000 to 1 in living. He now is going to high school, has lots of friends, swims and bike rides and triathlons.
Let's go!
There is no cure for harlequin ichthyosis. Ryan's skin has no defense against infection, disease, and sunlight. But rather than cocoon himself away from the outside world, Ryan chooses to meet every challenge head-on. Anna Marie never thought she'd see this day, watching her son compete in a triathlon.
For him to go from what he was like when he was born with such a rare, severe skin condition, and to be able to be out swimming a mile in salt water is just unbelievable.
One day I saw him, he was standing at the rail looking out there and watching the swimmers, and I told him, I says, Ryan, do you want to do this? And he says, I could never do this, look at me, there's no way I could do this. And I says, yeah, you could, man. I says, let's do it,
My first shot, I didn't do that good. It getting really painful first time because my skin was sensitive.
Yeah, we got 8,000 riders going to Tucson for the race. It'll be fun.
Ryan has made medical history.
There are some kids that are still alive with it, but I believe Ryan is the oldest living person with it.
The hard part is never over. Ryan's hearing and eyesight are impaired. His skin needs constant treatment. And although Ryan's intelligent, he's still a couple of years behind at school. Despite all that, Ryan Gonzalez is still winning.
His prognosis is excellent at this point. He should continue to get a little better all the time, and hopefully he'll be able to live a normal life. From the day he was born, he still has that same fighting spirit.